all doing on this joyous, lovely Thursday? You join the Hcast episode numero 46. We are 46 deep of the podcast, getting a name, because we were, of course, doing this before I had a name. But welcome to episode number 46. We've got a big Disney stream for you today, but also just kind of in at the last minute-ish. The actors are striking. We're going to be talking about that as well as a whole host of Disney things. Bob Iger renewing his contract. Bob Iger thinking Marvel is fine. They're selling Indian stuff. It's all over the place. We'll also touch on some box office updates. It's going to be a doozy. It's going to be fun. And of course, welcoming on this stream is
the tragedy is Hollywood. That was me.
I was going to say, I'm introducing you all. You just
I know. I was thinking about something. It wasn't you. It was just like, oh man.
Fucking ruin my flow. Welcome, my great panel guests. One of them, the sire that is Tom Connors from Midnight's Edge After Dark. How are you doing?
Well, where were you when Hollywood committed super coup? What did you do when Hollywood went to poo? They're done for a year now, at least, man. This is over with. That's what I was saying about, like, the strike business. We're done.
Industry's fucked. Yeah,
we're done.
So settle in, ladies and gents, because we'll have some interesting videos coming up, I'm sure. We've got Tom Connors is off Midnight's Edge After Dark. We've got Andre from Midnight's Edge. How you doing, buddy? You all right?
Yeah, greetings. I'm excellent. There will be no singing for me today. I don't do any singing. But yeah, no, it's quite the day. And Hollywood seppuku all around. Like that's what they needed right now. Another strike. Now when they're over the lockdowns and everything like that, just ensure that there's no good content for years to come. Or in fact, it's like that there's no content for years to come, good or otherwise. Which may be a good thing, all things considered.
True. I mean, it's definitely going to change the face of the industry for a very, very long time.
But into what? Most of the changes we've gotten in the last few decades have been decidedly for the worse. So when have they decided that enough's enough and try to make things better?
I know. Well, we'll touch on that with the topic itself. We've got Culture Casino. How you doing, bud? You all right?
I'm fantastic. I've been missing this show because I was watching.
I know, you son of a bitch.
I know, I'm terrible.
Unbelievable.
I know. Well,
I know. Right mind not to even invite you back.
All right. Well, you had Brawley on, so he did a good job. So very good.
Hey, he had to go and watch half of a movie, Nate.
That's true. Yeah. That's a good half of a movie. It was a good half of a movie.
You only got through half of a movie?
No.
Okay, guess which one I'm describing. Ethan goes in to steal something or goes on a mission and something goes wrong. Then the government and the IMF turn against him, or the IMF gets shut down. Then he has to go steal something else to prove his innocence. Which one am I describing?
No spoilers. I've got to bloody watch this thing tomorrow.
Well, does that not happen in all of them?
That's my point.
Probably. We got Nick from Nick Talks Entertainment. How you doing, bud? You all right?
Doing good, and just thinking about the first topic we're going to be hitting on these strikes and stuff. Funny how it's happening in an election year. Coincidence? Maybe.
Interesting.
But normally it always seems like on an election year there's always some crazy stuff going on.
Or just wait for the riots to begin.
Yeah.
God.
Or another coup coming or something. Something crazy is going to happen.
There's already this stuff in Europe, like this thing coming out of Africa, like this insects or some shit.
Yeah.
Okay, right. Well, anyway, welcome to my panel, derailing my intro. You can find a link to all of their channels down below in the description box. If you enjoy any of their input today, make sure you hit subscribe, because, of course, this is just a snapshot of the kind of content you would get on their own channel, their input, their opinions. So please do hit subscribe on their respective channels if you like any of their content. I will say as well, we've got some great topics to cover today, and as we sort of get through them, if you want to chime in, please do. The way to do it is with super chats. This stream often gets demonetized. So it's quite literally funded by you for you. So you do that with the super chats. It's a good way to do it. And a lot of those questions, comments, they become their own separate video on the second channel, which is Mistakes Reviews Live Archive. So please do check that out. But, please do support, help keep the lights physically on here, because God knows the gas and electric bills in the UK are fucking extortionate right now. So let's take a look at this, guys. We sort of spoke about it already, but yeah, the first topic, last minute, the actors are going on strike. Andre, I know you want to talk about this straight away. I want to get your input. I want your opinion. What do you think? What's your thoughts?
Well, I'm of two minds. My first thought is, are they freaking crazy? Because here you've had like the writer's strike for a long, long time now. And the writer's strike, that is one that I can fully get behind, because we have persistent rumors that this is something that there is a desire for, that this is something that they can use to get force majeure, to get out of bad deals that they never should have gotten into. Like, for instance, one of the founders behind BLM that got like this massive multi-million deal that nothing ever came of. Well, now they can say, oh, force majeure, out of it, doesn't happen anymore. And so many other deals have ended this way. So I can completely get that. And that is something that needs to go on for a little while longer. But then they have to go get back to business again, and then hire the good writers, and not all of the diversity hires that have been driving the industry to the brink of collapse over the last few years here, because it's mostly a writer problem. So that's good and well. But then the actors go on strike as well. And here's like the thing, that to me that's kind of like superfluous, because when the writers are on strike, it don't really matter about the actors, because eventually you're going to run out of proper products until writers, good or bad, start writing again. All this means is that now things that were already in development have to be shut down anyway. So that things that, for instance, were ready to go with scripts and everything, they could be filmed just fine before, as long as there was absolutely no changes to them on set. Now that's not happening anything. So this is something that, depending on how long this lasts, that has the potential to destabilize Hollywood for even longer. And of course, that's not going to matter for like the 1% of high-end A-list actors, but it's disastrous for the vast, overwhelming majority of working actors that live paycheck to paycheck, like most people. So I'm sure that there's a business rationale behind it. I would imagine it is. I have not yet had time to look into it and research what that rationale would be. There is nothing that instantly springs to my mind, though. So I would be very interested to hear what someone more informed on that matter than me has to say about it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this immediate effect. This is even affecting the Oppenheimer premiere, because Emily Blunt and a whole bunch of other actors were like, yeah, we're going to walk out if a strike is actually called. We're just leaving instantly. So now it's called, they're done. They're literally leaving the premiere of Oppenheimer straight away, which looks awful.
Yeah,
but
I do understand that, because basically an actor's job is not done until the movie opens, because depending on if they are above or below the line, for instance, the random extras in the background, they're not invited to premieres and stuff like that. But being at premieres, doing press, everything like that, that technically is part of their job as actors. They are supposed to act happy and cheerful and stuff like that for the red carpet,
and to help promote the movie for the studios.
But now that part of their job can't be done. Like, I don't think that Emily Blunt was saying that, oh, well, fuck you, now we're not doing anything. We're like, well, because of the strike, we can't.
Well, they have to. They have to.
They have to. Otherwise,
part of what it is. They have to do it.
I mean, what was like scabs? Is that what it's called? If they don't,
yeah. Well, we do have the full statement here. So, SAG-AFTRA's television and theatrical streaming contracts have expired without a successor agreement. After more than 4 weeks of bargaining, the Alliance of Motion Pictures and Television Producers, the entity that represents major studios and streamers, including Amazon, Apple, Disney, NBC Universal, all of them, remains unwilling to offer a fair deal on the key issues that are essential to SAG-AFTRA members. So in the face of the AMPTP's intransigence and delay tactics, SAG-AFTRA's negotiating committee voted unanimously to recommend to the National Board a strike of the producers. SAG-AFTRA's TV theatrical streaming contracts have expired on July 12th, 2023 at 11:59 p.m. Pacific time. SAG-AFTRA's National Board will vote Thursday morning on whether to strike. And obviously, they have now done that.
Yeah.
SAG-AFTRA's president, Fran Drescher, said SAG-AFTRA negotiated in good faith and was eager to reach a deal that sufficiently addressed performer needs. But the AMPTP's response to the union's most important proposals have been insulting and disrespectful of our massive contributions to this industry. The companies have refused to meaningfully engage on some topics and on others completely stonewalled us. Until they do negotiate in good faith, we cannot begin to reach a deal. We have no choice but to move forward in unity. And on behalf of our memberships, with a strike recommendation to our national board, the board will discuss the issue this morning. The decision's been made, just as an FYI. So the National Executive Director and Chief Negotiator said, the studios and streamers have implemented massive unilateral changes in our industry's business model, while at the same time insisting on keeping our contracts frozen in amber. Nice Jurassic Park reference. That's not how you treat a valued, respected partner and essential contributor. Their refusal to meaningfully engage with our key proposals and the fundamental disrespect shown to our members is what has brought us to this point. The studios and streamers have underestimated our members' resolve, as they are about to fully discover. Fucking brutal. So there is one last thing I want to cover, which is actually the statement from the AMPTP. We are deeply disappointed that SAG-AFTRA has decided to walk away from negotiations. This is the union's choice, not ours. In doing so, it has dismissed our offer of historic pay and residual increases, substantially higher caps on pension and health contributions, audition protections, shortened series option periods, a groundbreaking AI proposal that protects actors' digital likeness, and more. Rather than continuing to negotiate, SAG-AFTRA has put us on a course that will deepen the financial hardship for thousands who depend on the industry for their livelihood. So basically, they're saying, ha, 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 it's actually all your fault. You're to blame, and now you're gonna hurt everyone else. So boo, you should look terrible in the media. Culture, what do you think about this, especially upon hearing the statements?
Well, I think that there is an accurate portrayal by both sides of what's going on at the negotiating table. I feel like there's a lot of bad faith, especially on the studio side when it comes to negotiations, because this is something that absent 3 or 4 ridiculous proposals from the actors and screenwriters alike, that there was really some middle ground here that could have been conquered. But the problem is they really don't want the level of transparency that would be required to make a lot of these things come true. And you have studio heads coming out saying ridiculous things. Bob Iger, notoriously, is one of those people. He did today, came out against the actors and the writers, most directly the writers. Like I said, there are a couple of things I think are absolutely ridiculous. I think everybody on that panel would agree. But I think that, in order to get a deal together, you have to give a little bit on each side, and nobody's willing to give in. And to be fair, the reason that I think the studios are more to blame is because they are, as Andre indicated, happy to let this sit and spin through the fall.
I mean, I maybe in that respect, but as far as the other side of it, I find these actors outside of the AI business, I find it to be very greedy, because the actors already, especially the bigger ones, take a third, if not more, of the budget of what have we said here in a while? Like, the biggest problem is the budgets, right? Well, when you're handing over $30-40 million paydays to actors, that's a problem. Yeah, nobody needs that much money to be in a friggin' movie and play pretend. I'm sorry. And I do feel bad for some of the day players and stuff like that. But then again, if you were that good of an actor, you wouldn't be a day player. Like, that's the thing I look at it as. It's like, this is an industry where the cream of the crop always rises to the top. Yeah. Even in the worst of times. So I have very little pity for the industry. I have very little pity for the actors. The writers I feel bad for, like Andre was saying, because they are people who are considered above the line but get paid below the line as far as like what they actually do in consideration to the overall story of a film. I mean, they are the story. I mean, without a story, you can't have a film. And the same can be said for actors, but guess what? You're playing pretend for a living. I feel about as bad as I do when like basketball players or baseball players or football players go on strike. You literally get to do what kids wish and hope they could do when they get older and do on the playground every day, and you get paid for it. Grow up. You now just put an entire industry on strike. So what about all the gaffers, the teamsters, the lighting folks, the sound folks, the camera folks, post-production folks, pre-production folks?
Well, they're done, aren't they? That's the thing.
They're not going to work now because of you.
Yeah, well, that's what the AMPTP's statement is trying to highlight, is that, you know, SAG-AFTRA is to blame, basically, for loads of people going jobless and potentially going homeless, which was actually stated to be, per Deadline's sources at studios, that is
Sorry,
actually
I'm not trying to be a soapbox, but yeah.
No. That is actually what the studio wanted to happen to the writers. Actually, they said that they're going to wait it out until they basically have no money and some of them go homeless. That was what.
Oh, yeah, and the industry it's all to blame.
Yeah. Nick, you want to chime in there, bud?
I agree with what Tom was saying. I feel the same way when I hear pro athletes when they're complaining. Also, you know, you're out there playing a sport, a game, getting paid millions of dollars. Same thing with these actors, you know, and it, at the end of the day, a lot of it comes down to greed. Just like they were saying. So, and then you got the finger pointing by both sides, you know, shooting back and forth. It's ridiculous, but yeah, it's going to be a shame come next year. We're probably going to have very little entertainment coming out because this writer's strike's been going on for a long time. And
over 72, 73 days, something like that.
And now that the actors are striking, you know, unless they come to an agreement or a resolution really quickly, you know, a lot of the entertainment for next year is we're probably not going to get a whole lot of anything.
Well, I think it's important to note actually that we won't get anything new, right?
Yeah.
But what we will get is actually a dilution of content because there's a whole bunch. There's so much content that just sits on shelves.
Yep.
And they will be bringing out shit, just stuff which has been sat on shelves, stuff which they didn't actually want to release. They didn't really know what to do with it.
Maybe that Batgirl will come out.
Well, they can't, can they? But the point is, well, I bet they wish they could now. But the point is that you whatever content does come out was obviously, you know, pre-done prior to all of this. But there's going to be expect the box office to get significantly worse, or surprisingly, might get better because there might not be stuff injected with a whole lot of current events and current political leanings. So there is swings and roundabouts there that actually some of it may actually improve a little bit, but it's probably not going to be, and it probably will be absolutely garbage that gets released because it will just be stuff which was sat on the shelf. They just didn't know what to do with it, which famously, there's a lot of stuff like that.
Which they don't have. How much do they have left after COVID, though, Nate? Sorry, Culture, you were going to say something too.
No. To add what you're saying, not only do they not have much, but Tom, exactly how many products got buried as write-downs at the same time they knew this was coming? You know, you've ditched.
Well, it's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, that tells me that they know they're hitting a wall, right? Yeah. And this is what I've been saying for a while. The final is kind of coming to fruition. We'll get into Bob Iger's statements probably a little bit here in a bit, and I haven't got a chance to see this interview yet, but I've heard a little bit of the stuff that's come out of it. The full thing doesn't drop online until 9 p.m. tonight, unless you have cable like a boomer. He couldn't have seen it until so I don't have that, so I didn't see it. But they don't have as much as they usually would, Nate. That's the thing. When all these write-downs, they can't just pull them out, right? You can't just dust it off now and be like, oh, here you go. Here's a Batgirl.
You are absolutely right. And I think someone, Albion in the chat has said something which is perfectly valid and actually something which I'm really, really saddened by. Is that this will largely be the final nail in the coffin for theatre chains. And I'm sad about it because my local theatre just on Friday, literally last week, without warning, just a A4 piece of print out on the doors. We're done. We're gone. We're closed. That's it. Administration, bankruptcy, basically. But you will get a lot more of this, and those theatres that do survive will have a significant, which is good actually, will have a significant amount more of bargaining power against the studios and the percentage deal that they get, because they'll be like, well, you've literally just fucked us for how long?
Like they were already in that position, Nate, but I mean, the theaters
even more,
aren't in as bad as a position financially over here as they were over there. But because like over here you had almost the opposite effect. Sure, there was some that had closed down, but you actually had a bunch of drive-ins and stuff open up here in the US.
As a lot of them reopened.
A surge. And
500, I think.
Yeah, at least. And there was a time we had like 3 or 4 left in the US.
Yeah.
Wow. I love a drive-in. Drive-ins are sick.
Yeah, so they made a huge comeback with COVID. But the theaters will go on. They will not go quietly in the night. They will survive. They will
they haven't here.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Over here, though, they managed to with COVID, and that was the thing. They played sporting events, they played concerts, they played older films, they played.
Well, you say that. That was exactly the same here, though. That my theater, I managed to watch The Shining during COVID. I also managed to watch Akira, Japanese, full-blown Japanese. I watched a whole bunch of older films being re-released in that theater. But sadly, they've still had to close. So, but anyway, again, not to get off too much of a sidetrack there. Look, it sucks primarily because we're part of the industry as well, ladies and gents, watching this. Expect a whole lot more retrospectives. Expect a whole lot more random bits and pieces to come out on channels such as this, because again, if we're commenting on the industry and the industry isn't doing anything. It's everything's changed. I mean, I'm sure I speak for most people here. We have the ability to diversify our sort of topical content. I mean, even here on this podcast, we've spoken about a variety of things, which I wouldn't do on the main channel itself. But again, you can't do that in the other part of the industry. That's it; they're wrecked now. But you are right. I will side with you, Tom, on that. Is that there is a significant amount of greed. Massively involved in all of this. I will say, just to highlight quickly, they talk about
all
AI
sides too. I don't want to make it sound like I was just blaming one side over the other.
No, you're completely right. But they do comment about AI. So with respect to AI, the Guild has said that artificial intelligence has already proven to be a real and immediate threat to the work of our members and can mimic members' voices, likeness, and performances. We must get agreement around acceptable uses, bargain protections against misuse, and ensure consent and fair compensation for the use of your work to train AI systems and create new performances. In their public statements and policy work, the companies have not shown a desire to take our members' basic rights to our own voices and likenesses seriously.
This is incredibly
that is one of the major sticking points on both sides, the actors and the writers. It's a lot of it is AI, and the reason why, and it comes straight back to your comment here, Tom, is money, because they can get AI to do things cheaply, quickly, done. The same with writing, same with the likeness, and that's why.
But that's why you're right, and but this is important, and I just wanted to add context, Nate, because you guys are on the right track. But this is why Sarah Silverman and a lot of others are now suing the AI entities themselves, because their works are being utilized to create language models to write in their style or whatever else. That is incredibly ethically wrong. I mean, I'm sorry. I mean, and it's a gross violation of somebody's intellectual thought processes, et cetera, et cetera. I'm on the side of them. I mean, as much as I don't like Sarah at all, in many of these writers,
this is the one side where I agree too, because the only thing I don't understand is why wasn't this shit addressed back in the days of Forrest Gump? Because I thought that the actors already kind of addressed this stuff with the whole idea of, we can do this, but you got to pay us. And that's when we got Fred Astaire dancing with a vacuum, right? Famously. I don't understand how this isn't already part of the deal. It to me would fall under the same category as CGI. It's computer generated images, right? At the end of the day. But at the same time, it does need to be addressed because it is technology that is advancing much faster than I think we even really know how to use it yet.
Yeah, they don't have a handle on it. I mean, there's
no.
Yeah. I mean, look, it'll be interesting to see what happens. I again, not to labour this particular topic for too long, because we do have some spicier things for you to enjoy us talking about. But I think it'll be interesting to see how this moves along. And the reason being, closing thoughts, is that this potentially will be the linchpin that causes the studios to make a bargain with everyone else. Or they'll just dig the heels in and say, F you, we're not doing it at all. Right? Because they can't wait out the actors. Because the actors are minted. They have so much money. They can wait out the writers, but they can't wait out the actors. The large player actors have a whole host of cash flow that they don't need to worry about getting a paycheck from a studio. So their tactic with the writers doesn't hold weight when it comes down to actors. So it'll be interesting to see how this how this ends up. Any closing thoughts, guys?
I'm just kicking back.
Just
doing the popcorn.
No. Could have just said no, Nick, but all right, yeah, cool. Coach.
Nick's like, I got my popcorn here watching things just, explode around.
Fall apart.
Yeah, fairly. Look, I'm fairly certain that this is going to make it well into fall. I have a feeling that we'll be looking at winter, and this is still, they'll cut a deal. The writers are going to be the ones that are going to suffer the most, as has been pointed out by you and Tom and Andre.
Yeah.
But they were prepared for this. I mean, if you talk to people in this industry, which I fortunately am able to, and so are all of you guys, they've essentially said, that they were ready for this. Maybe they're not ready for as long as they thought that it's going to end up being, but we'll end up seeing at the end of the day. There are some things I can't help but agree with them on, and the AI stuff is like for front and center.
Basic. Most people could agree with that. It's so basic. Just compensate like that's someone's actual image. Like nonsense. Andre, I know you had to pop out there, but you're back now. You got any closing thoughts there, bud?
Well, first, I think you made a really good observation there about the actors that can wait this out, because they have enough money for 10 generations to come. But that is a minority of actors. Sadly, they are the ones calling the shots over Saga and everything like that, right? The ones I think are going to suffer the most are going to be the working actors, because the writers, they are used to going long periods without work. They earn like proper amounts for one gig, but then they are used to budget for the fact that there may be 2 years before they get another, right? Whereas the working actors, many of them, they are used to, they go from one project to another. They have like 2 projects lined up at any given time. And what that gives them is what you might call a very normal salary. In fact, many of them still have to be waiters and stuff like that on the side. This is the norm for the vast majority of actors. They are the ones that's going to be suffering for this, because they, like most people, may only be living from foot to mouth. They may not have any major savings, anything like that. So the ones that SAG is really screwing over here, in order to satisfy their big members, their Robert D. Downey Jr.'s and stuff like that, right? They're screwing over the majority and everyone else. They're the ones that will be suffering the most.
Well, and like I said, even more so, it's not just the actors, because like I said, if a good actor is good, they would be making more money. But at the end of the day, it's all the other little people, the below the line folks.
Yeah.
It's all the folks that don't get big paydays, who don't get lucky enough to make a couple $100,000 on a gig. The gaffers, the lighters, the sound guys, all that stuff. The guys who build the sets. I mean, they have more steady work, yes, but they get paid, basically what you would consider quote unquote blue collar wages, right? Like they work 80-hour weeks and are lucky to make just over twice minimum wage if they're lucky in some cases, I bet.
No, I agree. It'll be interesting.
And those are the ones who are not going to be working now.
Yeah. Well, it will be interesting nonetheless to see sort of how this moves along. Just as a real quick one, guys, we've got 495 viewers here. So, thank you so much for joining my live podcast. We do this twice a week on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Tuesdays a little bit later. Starts at 9 p.m. UK time. So, roughly about an hour and 20 minutes from now on a Tuesday. And on Thursdays, we start at 7 p.m. UK time, so roughly 40 minutes in the past. But thank you so much. Hit that like button. The like button isn't for me. I don't give a shit. This stream gets unlisted once it's done. It's actually for you guys. You interact with this stream. Hopefully, YouTube will notify you. So that's why I ask for the likes. You'll see that these streams, you can't access them. They get unlisted. So it's literally not for me. It's hopefully that YouTube will, send a notification out. But I will say as well, if you want to join in the conversation, the chat, and also support the stream, super chats are the way to do that. It goes a long way because these streams get demonetized. So we do actually have a few super chats to get to before we move on to our next topics. Bit of a spicy one as well. Al Humphreys for £5 says Universal are really good, but Bob Iger, Disney or Isney. Bob Iger, Isney? That's funny if you're Scottish. Isney. I'm butcher. There must be. I think I'm tired. I don't get that. I feel dumb. Isney. Bob Iger, Isney. Obviously, it's play on Disney. Isney?
It's not. He's not.
Yeah, I know that, but that's not.
Yeah, it's not in Scottish.
Okay, whatever. Well, anyway, thanks so much, Al. Appreciate it. Addison Smith for $19.99 says, Mr. H, why does Hollywood have such a monopoly on fear of changing US and movies released which are international, or Asia release on streaming and direct to DVD? I'm guessing that's what that is.
I mean, first of all, yeah, like anime and some things like that from the East have kind of made some influence with a lot of the younger crowd, but it still isn't as big here as most Western entertainment. Like if it's not a Pokemon or something like that, it's not.
Yeah, it's true.
Huge. And I mean, that's kind of where I come from sometimes with getting pissy about like that new Superman cartoon and such. It's like,
I want
terrible. My Western entertainment to look like Western entertainment. What's wrong with that? And that's the thing. Western entertainment is just that. Hollywood created that. That's what they did. That's what they're known for. The anime and what Japan puts together over there, that's what they do. What Bollywood and all that stuff does over there, that's what they do. I mean, Hollywood needs to re-embrace what it used to do best. And it's not so much out of a fear of changing. It's just, why would you change what you do? It would be like Burger King deciding, we're just going to serve fish from now on. But we're not going to change the name. We're going to keep calling it Burger King. But,
well, I think actually it's important to note that Hollywood doesn't actually have a monopoly, right? So Hollywood largely farms their work out elsewhere. They actually use, by and large, an awful lot of British film crews, and they film a lot in the UK. Pinewood Studios is famous for a reason. The British film crews are famous for a reason. They produce some of the best looking products out there. I literally just do a case study of films, shot like even just from Lucasfilm, stuff shot solely on Lucasfilm in America versus the stuff which has been shot from Lucasfilm in the UK. The British film crews are incredibly talented, a league above a lot of the American-based film crews. So it's actually not that Hollywood has a monopoly. All it is that gives Hollywood a power, specifically as a locale, is that everyone is based there. So they go. Budapest is a new one. I say new, but it's been probably the last 10 years or so. But that's been ramping up more and more and more and more and more. That they're going to farm, a lot of work out there, and it's because of tax breaks and the like, and obviously because they have good studio spaces and obviously locations, etc. But it's not that Hollywood has a monopoly per se. It's just it's like it's the capital city of film. There you go. But they're the same jurisdiction or same country is dotted across the world. It's a bizarre an analogy, but it makes sense. Hollywood, you've got to view Hollywood as the capital city of film, but they have multiple cities all dotted around the world that is also part of Hollywood. So they don't have the monopoly. It's just where people are based, if that makes any sense, because I made that analogy up off the top of my head. Hopefully it made some sense. Culture, you look like you wanted to say something.
No, not really. Just to add that, the reason that we don't have a divergent or a multifaceted version of Hollywood at this point is just because of the way things are locked down with distribution. I think Tom can probably speak better to that, but I just, there's we're already seeing it. We're already seeing a fractalization. We're starting to see different avenues of distribution and more parallels in the industry. So we'll see. I think you're going to see more and more. I think you're going to see more and more of that happening with independent film. I mean, we've already seen the big success with a lot of smaller budgeted films. So it's just the distribution channels that need to be freed up, and we need to have an alternate distribution, which will keep theaters from failing. I mean, let's be fair about that.
Outside of your random Sound of Freedom, which is an anomaly.
Weird. Yeah.
That's kind of the hurdle that most indies have to get over, is that Hollywood is kind of plugged into the advertising machine, or whatever you want to call it, the marketing machine, to where, not only do they have the money, but they also know who and where and how to advertise these things, usually to get the maximum, saturation, as opposed to something else that's indie. I mean, unless you have a Sound of Freedom that actually gets attention on it, it's not going to get to know. And nowadays it's even tougher, because sure, you can get a streaming deal or just throw your stuff up on YouTube, but it's not going to get the traction or the attention it normally would have if it was just 20, 30 years ago, and you were shipping your movie around to different theaters, one city at a time, and then putting it on video. You actually had a better chance of a movie getting noticed then than now. It's sad but true. But the studios, they've built this wall or this gate around them, and they are not. I mean, the way they've reacted to Sound of Freedom, politics part of it aside, a big reason they're having the reaction is because it's the little movie that could, and they couldn't figure it out. Right? Like, the movie's doing what they used to do, and it's ticking them off, I'm sure, in some aspects. The other side of it, they're probably going, well, how do we do this? Because, I mean, don't be surprised if we see a dozen Sound of Freedom clones here come out in the next couple of years. But it'll be interesting to see how things go with this strike, because movies like Sound of Freedom have more of a chance to break through in the middle of a strike, because you guys are right. There is stuff that's still sitting on shelves.
Yeah.
If any good or not is the question.
Yeah. Well, there you go, Addison, mate. I think you got your $19 worth there, bud.
Yeah.
Darren Hughes for $2 says, do all pro screen actors have to belong to SAG?
For the most part, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, basically. Like, for agencies and stuff like that, yeah, like, pretty much.
To be able to perform in studio films and stuff, usually, yeah.
And thank you, Darren, for being a member of the channel. If anyone wants to support, become a member of the channel. Helps out a lot. So we got a $9.99 from Magic XB. Says, are any of you concerned about the entertainment industry becoming too big to fail or wanting a bailout? Warner Brothers and Disney seem unconcerned on the surface about their box office bombs and losses. Well, I mean, right. Okay. So they have to maintain that facade of not being concerned because they have stock prices, shareholders. But are they concerned? Yeah, I would say so. I would absolutely say so. There's a lot happening behind the scenes that they are talking about, and a lot of things which are being implemented. I mean, if Warner Brothers wasn't concerned, you wouldn't have had them do the write-off of Batgirl. Just that alone. I mean, it's probably the most high-profile one.
And that was more to save face. Yeah, because Batgirl was to save face at the end of the day. You don't just dump $90 million down the drain.
Exactly, right? So but that's indicative of them definitely being concerned. There's a lot that goes on, but they have to appear stony faced, positive, and we're all good, blah blah blah, because stock prices matters a lot with these studios. It can, I mean, look, we've seen it with Bud Light, right? Like you lose billions in a week or something like that. This just happens. So they have to have that facade of being all happy, jovial. Yeah, we're all good, no worries.
But will they ask for a bailout? They already did during COVID, didn't they? And I think they got one.
That is true. Anyone else want to add to this at all? Andre, you got anything to say, bud?
Not as such, no. If they need a bailout, they'll get it. And until they do, they'll pretend everything is perfectly fine and everything is dandy and under control, as they always do, until they take their luxury jets and go to Washington to ask for a few billion of taxpayer money. But only a couple of studios can do that. Like, for instance, if Sony goes to Washington and asks for money, they'll be laughed out of the room. If Disney does, says, "Hey, I'm Iger, I'm on you guys. Look at all the woke stuff we did. Taxpayer money will be forthcoming aplenty."
Yeah. Well, the other thing is we kind of have a little bit of a clue of what they're probably going to be doing, because in Bob Iger's interview that was on MSNBC this morning, and I believe the whole thing drops later on tonight online, but he was implying that they might be selling or looking at departing things like Nat Geo. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him sell that off. I've heard a lot of rumors about Paramount separating from CBS, so they might sell off Paramount. I wouldn't be surprised if ABC and Disney distance themselves from each other and they do sell off one or the other. Culture, it looks like you have something to say there.
No, I just want to add to what you're saying. I mean,
yeah, please do.
I think you nailed it. I think you're going to start to see some of these companies shake the trees and get rid of the stuff that isn't generating them. I mean, we're watching it in real time. Disney's been shedding things that they acquired via the Fox deal in India in various ways. They may completely part with the service. You have what's happening in as Tom referred to, what's happening in Sun Valley right now, which I made a video about. Most people don't know, in Sun Valley, Idaho, the Allen and Company annual get-together is where all the tech billionaires, all the finance people, and all the media folks get together to talk about the deals that they're going to make and the way it's going to change your world. And I see Comcast perhaps acquiring Paramount Elements. I see bits and pieces of things, flitting off to other entities.
That or Amazon, Apple, and Netflix might.
Yeah, and I see that happening. I think Nat Geo, a great landing spot for Nat Geo might be, Amazon or maybe Apple. I think, but I think this is where you're going to start seeing everybody shake out to try to level the playing field and shift they have to shift their balance sheets so things make sense, because right now nothing makes sense, and you're going to see more things happening in India. But anyway, I went on too long, so there you are.
No. I was just gonna say that as far as the too big to fail, I mean, at the end of the day, these entertainment studios aren't the backbone of the U.S. economy, like the banking system. It's very different.
No, but they are one of our biggest exports. That needs
for sure. But as far as being too big to fail in that aspect, like the bank crisis or the housing collapse and stuff like that, I don't think it's on that level.
No, I would concur with that.
No, that's the thing, and that's what Culture's saying, is they'll just kind of shift things around.
Yeah.
And different companies will come in, and it could be just ABC will be ABC, Disney will be its own thing. Paramount might get bought up by one of the other streamers. Same thing with some of these other smaller entities. I mean, I can also see CBS separating off Nickelodeon and MTV and Comedy Central and selling them off, although I think Comedy Central might be a little bit more difficult, because we mentioned that the other day because of Warner's interest in that too. But I'm sure Warner wouldn't have a problem getting rid of certain things as well. So I think Culture's right. I think that's kind of what we'll see. I see somebody brought up ABC and ESPN in the chat. I think they'll just spin those two off or something or other, and then it'll be, because they already did kind of spin off ESPN, didn't they? Culture, kind of its own thing now. It's a
third leg of so they're a table made of three legs. ESPN is one of those legs. It possibly, if they were going to shake out an entire thing, I think the reason they did that was either to make it such a principle that it couldn't be shaken out, which chased off one of the activist investors, or they did it so eventually they can shake it out clean to somebody else. But I wouldn't blame them for. I never thought that would happen, but recently I've come around to thinking that could happen because it's something they could drop. The rights are so very expensive for sports. ESPN has so many different rights contracts. They're negotiating 2 of them right now, or maybe 3. That's a lot of money, billions and billions of dollars per year. You might have a big player like Apple or Amazon say, you know what, we'll take ESPN.
Yeah. No, you're completely right. Completely right. Well, we'll just pause on the super chats for a little bit. We'll get to them in a minute. So, guys, if you want to support the show, you want us to chit chat through your comment and questions, super chat is the way to do that. But let's shuffle on now to our next topic, which is, of course, Bob Iger. To keep running Disney until 2026. He was originally supposed to exit next year. No successor is there. He's ready to go. So here it is. Bob Iger will not be handing Disney over to a successor next year after all. Originally back as Mouse House CEO for just 2 years, Iger's contract has now been extended another 2 years through the end of 2026, the company announced today. So here's our statement, basically sucking the teat of Bob Iger. Time and again, Bob has shown an unparalleled ability to successfully transform Disney to garbage to drive future growth and financial returns. That's not true. Earning him a reputation as one of the world's best CEOs. Extra doubt. Bob has once again set Disney on the right strategic path for ongoing value creation and to ensure to ensure the successful completion of this transformation, while also allowing ample time to position a new CEO for long-term success. The board determined it is in the best interest of shareholders to extend his tenure. I bet there are a whole bunch of shareholders that massively disagree with that garbage.
Oh, for sure. And to be sure, this right there, this was dictated by Bob Iger and approved by Bob Iger as CEO of Disney for release to the press. Make no mistake about that.
Oh, massively. Right. Thoughts? Because this is a travesty. This is not everything that was failing when Bob Chapek was there was greenlit under Bob Iger. Okay, Disney Plus, Bob Iger's. It's a failure. It doesn't earn any money. It loses money. It just bleeds cash so much so they have to do huge amounts of write-downs now. This 7,000 people that's being fired. Thoughts? I can't even get my words out. This is just nonsense. What do we think? Culture.
Terrible decision. I'm with a lot of commentators on this today that I think that the board needs to be replaced immediately. If they thought this was
the entire board.
I especially that forced labor guy from Nike. I feel like he is probably the worst choice to lead the company forward. And they could have gone out and bought somebody to come in and go out and get that Aaron guy from AMC Theaters. Go out and get somebody who has experience in turning companies around. Because I mean, whatever his name is, Aaron over at AMC, he turned AMC around. With the support of the stockholders who were the retail folks, right? The retail people, believe it or not, whether or not they own the most portion of Disney or not, those are the ones that support the company financially. So you need somebody who is, in the same world, with the same worldview as your primary audience. You have to be able to speak business, but you have to be able to appeal to the masses. And Iger stopped being able to do that. My argument would be about 8 to 10 years ago. And he's just gotten farther and farther away from what the company is supposed to be, farther away from its core values and beliefs and its principles. And this is a catastrophic maneuver when, again, there's no replacement in sight. He got rid of 2 people that could have replaced him. There is no prayer that Dana Walden comes in and rolls up on that job. So this is capital hubris, and no other way to describe it. So that's my thought.
Well, he actually made a statement. So he says, "Since my return," this is the most self-congratulatory wank we've heard ever. This is him talking about himself. Since my return to Disney just 7 months ago, I've examined virtually every facet of our businesses to fully understand the tremendous opportunities before us, as well as the challenges we've been facing from the broader economic environment and the tectonic shifts in our industry. On my first day back, we began making important and sometimes difficult decisions to address some existing structural and efficiency issues. And despite the challenges, I believe Disney's long-term future is incredibly bright. But there is more to accomplish before this transformative work is complete. And because I want to ensure Disney is strongly positioned when my successor takes the helm, I have agreed to the board's request to remain CEO for an additional 2 years. The importance of the succession process cannot be overstated. And as the board continues to evaluate a highly qualified slate of internal and external candidates, I remain intensely focused on a successful transition.
What a joke.
What do you think, Nick?
I'm having thoughts and images as you're reading this of episode 1, the Phantom Menace, where they put in a vote of no confidence for Chancellor Valorum. Like, can the shareholders not all get together and put in a vote of no confidence for the entire board and Bob Iger as a whole? And get these people out of here. What is he talking about? What company is he referring to when he's talking about, I believe, the long-term future is incredibly bright? This isn't the Disney I'm seeing. It doesn't look incredibly bright to me, buddy. I don't know what you're looking at, but everything's on fire around him, and he's sitting there just saying, "Oh, this is fine."
It's that meme, yeah. This is all, everything's fine. No worries.
More than that, I'd like to say something about succession, because he was talking about, succession is so important, and we haven't found anyone. So when the board asked me, can you please stay on a little bit longer? That probably did happen. And why? Because he has to fill the board with his own allies.
That and Christine McCarthy left.
Yeah, exactly. But really, when it comes to successors, Iger doesn't want any. He wants to be dictator of Disney for life. He's not looking for any successor.
Do you think maybe he pressured her ass out?
Yes,
because
obviously.
of that very reason. Because he knew that if she was gone, the board would have no other choice than to hold on to him for that much longer. Yeah.
Iger doesn't want to leave. He never wanted to leave Disney in the first place. He never wanted to retire. He still doesn't want to retire. He has all the money in the world. He can do whatever he wants. You think that he wants to sit home with his wrinkly old wife every single day and just wait to die when he can be the head of Disney, schmoozing with the celebrities and stuff like that for life? No, that's what he wants. He's going to block any kind of succession plan and make it so that the board will always ask him, please stay on, Big Daddy Iger. Please stay on, Daddy Iger. We need you, Daddy Iger. That's what he wants. That's the kind of board
he never even cleared out his office, did he, Andre?
No, he didn't. He never left his office. When Chapek was there, he was like, Chapek, you can sit the office down the hall here. That's fit for you. I, as like the emeritus on the board, will remain here in the CEO office. Because I'm coming back to it.
Well, and Andre, just so you know, Aunt Willow is still keeping it together, so she's not wrinkly old. Just so you know, just from my
no. I was talking specifically about Miss. I don't know for sure what
Willow
she looks
Bay.
like.
Willow Bay is keeping it together, dude. She is. It's working out.
Okay, fine. But anyway, my point is that he is not going to retire. He has no ambitions of going into a retirement lifestyle. That's not for him.
Well,
he wants to be where the action is because he's an ambitious man.
Well, especially now that he knows that he's got very little chance of becoming president. And did you hear him basically eat some crow when it came to the Don't Say Gay stuff?
No, I haven't had the chance to listen to it. I've been busy writing my my editorial, which is being developed or edited as we speak. No, I have not had a chance to hear him talk. I don't want to listen to the gaslighting, to be honest.
Well, let's round this out with, what do we think our chances are of this being an epic fail for Disney? I know, shock horror. Bob Iger back as Disney. Is this going to nuke Disney's chances of success moving forwards? Over or under? What chances?
Look at the stock price. I mean, come on, that's the scoreboard. The audience is the scoreboard. The stock price is the scoreboard. We have scoreboard.
What has happened to the stock price since this announcement? Culture, can you figure that out?
Oh, I will find that out. You betcha.
Because that's interesting.
Meanwhile,
it's not something I'm familiar with. But
I have an unconventional take on this. I think.
What are you going to talk more about Daddy Iger?
Tiny little bit, but really, I think that the best thing, because here's the problem that Disney is doing: they are looking for a permanent replacement, and no one who would be capable of being a permanent replacement wants the job, because Disney right now is the Titanic that has hit the iceberg, and where you have noticed that it's starting to sink. Mm-hmm. That is Disney right now. And they're looking for a different captain to take over that. No. That's the problem. That's why they're not getting anyone. Yeah. But so the result of that is that they need a hatchet man to come in and clean house and do the dirty work and salvage this thing, kick out everything excess to salvage this ship, so that someone else can come in and then be the savior and repair it from this horrible hatchet man that ruined everything. That's what's needed here. But what I will say for Iger, and this is the one thing where I'm not completely hopeless, because if we just looked at what Iger had done before, then there's no hope for it at all. But look at what Iger has done the last 3 months. He's been talking about, we're all about diversity, changing the world and stuff like that. Meanwhile, he has figuratively gone into the ranks and he has stabbed the backs of all of the diversity people. I mean, he went to Conrad Newton. No one ever saw this coming, and he practically just shot her in the back of the head. And this is the head of diversity at Disney, the one that brought this horrible, disgusting commie program like Reimagine Tomorrow. Just shot her in the head, took her out Buckingham, and got rid of her. Got rid of the other CEO and stuff like that. Got rid of the bane of Marvel, Victoria Alonso. No one saw that coming. And now he has the board support to continue his actions at the time when BlackRock has reduced their stake in Disney and Vanguard has walked out on ESG as a whole. And BlackRock and Vanguard right now are about even. And even the BlackRock, they have not said that they are walking back on ESG, but they have. But because of the pressure they are under, they are no longer focusing on the word. They just want the intention. But they have bigger priorities right now in Ukraine than on Disney. That means that Bob Iger right now, with that board support, he's in a position to be a hatchet man and do what needs to be done to salvage the company. Is he going to? I don't know. I'm not saying he's going to, but I'm saying that there's a non-zero chance that Bob Iger can be the hatchet man that undoes his own damage and actually can restore some sense of sanity to Disney. I'm not saying it's a big chance, but it's a non-zero chance.
Well, let's see what the general populace thinks of Wall Street. What's this you're sharing? Culture?
Oh yeah, this is where we're at. This is the 5 days. So we're looking at the lowest point this week was on Monday at 87.89. Today it's at its highest point it's been in a while at $90.54. But right after this particular event, and you can see it climbed up a bit higher at a couple of points here. It was 90.40 and all that. But after this announcement was made, look at what happened to the stock.
Oh,
right?
Okay.
Yeah. So the immediate reaction was this. Then you had a bunch of real excitement for some reason. I don't know. 90.78, and then this is where we're at. We're probably, if I were going to predict the close, we'd probably be sitting just over 90. I don't think it's going to keep. I don't think it's going to keep this nearly 0.5% increase. But I could be wrong. Again, I'm not. I don't offer financial advice. I just offer analysis, and my analysis is, this is a temporary situation, and we will be back down in the mid 80s by the end of next week. because if anybody pays any kind of attention to this, it's going to be the people that are looking to find an out of where this is at the highest point to bail. I think that's just my thoughts.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what happens. Yeah. But we need to move on to some super chats right now. So, Matt Hepp for $5 says, quick question. Oh, also, we've got 650 people here. Hit that thumbs up button, guys. Not for me. I don't care. This video gets unlisted. It's not for me. It's to hopefully get the notifications out to you guys. So hit thumbs up. Matt Hepp for $5 says, quick question. Can studios release unreleased movies? We always hear about films that get shelved and they could drop them on streaming for content. Not tax ones, but just movies which are unreleased. Yeah, because
you also got to.
They've just chosen not to release them. Yeah, they can.
Yeah, you got to remember though, a lot of those things are put on a shelf for a reason.
Yeah.
Very rarely is there a sound of freedom. That's what I was saying. Normally, movies that get shoved on a shelf are there because they suck, because they're like Pluto Nash.
Very, very true. But yes, short answer, they can. Addison Smith for $19.99 says, Mr. H, do you think Hollywood is going to sell their soul to China? Is going to.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Already 10 years late on that one.
That already happened.
Yeah, if war breaks out between China and Taiwan. Yeah, I mean, it's already happened, mate. So yeah. There's I honestly appreciate the $19.99. There's no greater discussion to be had there because they've already done it. When Disney thanked the Shanxi province in China, where they literally have an internment camp for Uyghur Muslims, you knew everything was really pretty messed up in Hollywood at that point. You know, openly thanking a region which many countries' leaders have now condemned China for performing a genocide. Yeah, that's a problem. You know,
and a lot of big corporations are in with them. Nike's another
massively. One. Hugely. So yes, honestly, really appreciate the super chats. It goes a long way. Really does help out. There's no deeper way to sort of discuss that one, I'm afraid, buddy. Joel Familiar for $20 says the streaming sub investment these studios executives fell in love with caused the domino effect to the current situation. Streaming didn't bring the revenue theaters bring, so paychecks were cut, movies belong in theaters. I fucking said this. No one, honestly, I said it when COVID happened, when they were pushing for streaming. I said streaming will never, ever replace theaters. It can't. It was just basic mathematics. And everyone was like, yeah, no, why would you go to a cinema if, you could just watch it at home? Yeah, sure. But it doesn't mean they're going to keep making the movies because they can't. No. You can't spend $200 million on a movie that gets screened at home. It doesn't work. Like, you're just never going to do it. So yeah, you're completely right. I mean, I said it at the time, and now we're seeing that in real time. Everything's sort of falling apart.
I can tell you, everybody on this panel said this at the time. I mean, we were all on the same page. It's funny because you look at all the revenue streams they chopped off because they did that. I'm like, good lord.
It's so bizarre. It's bizarre how us, a couple of essentially armchair critics, can sit there and go, "This is not the future. It's never going to work," and we get it right. And then these idiots that are paid hundreds of millions of dollars are like, yeah, this is the best thing. This is good. Yeah, man. And they're like, shit.
Well, it was built on false. Oh, go ahead, Nick, because it sounded like you were going to say something. Go ahead.
Oh, no. Go ahead.
Well, it was just built on this false idea that there was all this money in streaming, right? Well, and as Andre and many of us have pointed out many, many, many times, there's only money in it when you have about one or two streamers buying up all the entertainment. And that was one time where I would say, look, I'm not a fan of monopolies at all, like most people aren't. But this is one time where you can't look at Netflix and Amazon and Hulu as a monopoly, more so as a format. Because it was like a format war we walked into. And Andre was 100% correct with this. When you have every single studio wanting their own streaming service, it was worse than the beta versus VHS. It was worse than HD DVD versus Blu-ray. It was worse than any single format war we've ever had in history. It was basically like 5 formats trying to compete with each other. And now they're realizing there's no money in this because people are going to just stream hop. And frankly, at the end of the day, especially when people are strapped for cash, it's one of the last things they need, right? Yeah. When people are looking at like, oh, I need bread, I need milk, my kid needs shoes. I need gas. I don't need Disney Plus.
Yep.
I got videos. There's YouTube. There's free ways to watch stuff that for the most part, people either stick with Netflix or Amazon and they stream hop the rest. And times like these when things are tight, I'm willing to bet most people don't have any streaming services or are just down to one.
I don't pay for a single streaming service. I have logins for all of them.
Well, even if they tighten up on some of that stuff, which is, things like Netflix has been trying to do, I still don't see it becoming as much of a problem at the end of the day.
The only one I have, but I don't pay for it, is HBO Max. I refuse to call it Max HBO. I refuse. But I get that one because I got AT&T Uverse internet, so I get it for free.
What a ridiculous thing. That rename thing still bothers me. We're now a month after it, and it's still bugging me because I like you, Nick. I'm like, you just stripped the value.
I agree, Culture.
Platform.
It was dumb.
Good God,
branding matters. Branding matters. But moving on, we got a brand new member. Speaking of branding, brand new member. D has become a YouTube member of the channel. So
we now have the D.
That's a beautiful lantern. You see that? I love those. Those are great.
That's a disc bit. That's a disc.
He has
Actually,
one single.
It looks like an Asian lantern.
It is.
Yeah, no, it is. Yeah, you are right. Yeah.
Thank you so much. A single D.
Because definitely helps out. Mr. Tickle Drinks here for $5 Canadian. Says Iger sticking around is effing nuts. As an atheist, I have a lot to think about now because I'm convinced that Iger made a deal with the devil. Yeah, well, maybe he is the devil.
It's the deal with the devil, basically at this point. And it's more of a political move than anything. And like I agree with Andre's assessment because that's what I was going to say is he set McCarthy up to be the next person in line, and then either pushed her out or her leaving was what basically got them to the point where what are we going to do? Who else do we have as a choice here?
Yeah,
especially when we're facing probably one of the worst financial times in the history of Disney, period. I mean, I would say this is even worse than the early 70s and late 80s when they were running into those financial issues or mid 80s or whatever it was.
Yeah. We got $5 from Mexican Iron Man. Says Bob Iger is delusional. Sorry, riddle me this. Why won't Bob Iger ever become an AI? Answer: because Bob will never become self-aware.
Oh,
I like it. Horseradish Power for £2 says replace Iger with Hugh Edwards. He has Disney values. Who's that? Who's Hugh Edwards?
That's
the ABC News presenter that was.
God, yeah. Sorry, yeah. Oh, and that's what I'm getting to.
I'm booing Hugh, not the super chat.
And now we've got Mexican Iron Man for $5. Says the SEC filing shows that he will actually be at Disney until 2031. This is not a 2-year extension. It is
really
2031. See SEC filing. And Nick, you've shared something. What is
this? So what Mike's talking about is, and Valiant did a video on it. It's 30 minutes long. So if you guys want to go listen to the whole thing and get more information on what Mike's talking about here, this is basically what it is. There's a
don't go there right now because we're still live.
Yeah, right after the stream. After the stream, go check it out. But the amendment provides the post-retirement security benefits to be provided to Mr. Iger for 5 years following his termination of employment.
Stop moving your mouse, Nick. That's going to give me a seizure.
Oh, my bad.
Fucking hell, man.
Yeah, it's like all over the place. It's weird.
It's the thing is that's weird because it's not doing that on my end.
God, well, get it stopped now. That was painful.
Painful
for everyone else watching as well.
Yeah, I was looking at the screen. I wasn't looking at the StreamYard window, so I didn't even know it was doing that.
Speaking of Valiant, see the message in the private chat here, Mr. H.
Yeah, I will keep it going, Nick.
But following his termination of employment under his current employment agreement will not be reduced for the proximity 11-month period such services were provided following Mr. Iger's prior retirement on December 31st, 2021. So I guess he's still going to be around and still be getting benefits and getting. It sounds to me, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong here, or Mike in chat, but it sounds to me like he's going to kind of still be around till 2031, basically doing the same thing he was doing while Chapek was there. So he's not going to officially be the CEO, but he's still going to kind of be around and kind of have his hands in the cookie jar, during that time, which who knows, maybe at that point they'll be like, oh, come back again, and whoever's in there, the board will fire them and Iger will come back in again, who knows, but that's what Mike was talking about.
Or maybe that's the handover period.
Yeah.
I guess
5 years though.
I know.
Wow.
Well,
it puts him squarely into the ruling class at that point with Agenda 2030.
Oh, oi! I've got one more super chat before we shuffle on. From Addison Smith says for $4.99 says, "Have you heard about the Back Rooms movie by Kane Pixels?" No,
I've not.
Never even heard of that. I'll have to Google that. Can you give us a Google on that culture? We'll figure out what that is. Or it's probably something not to look at, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, shuffling on to our next topic. Bob Iger is an idiot because he thinks the issue with Marvel in general is a dilution of the brand. It's not the content. They just made too much. Marvel streaming and sequel binge. Diluted focus and attention. Disney CEO Bob Iger says company pullback means spending less on what we make and making less. Well, I mean, good. You need to spend less on what you make, but it's not a dilution. It's garbage that you've been making. It's just garbage, absolute garbage. So let's take a look at this. Disney already proving he's not the right man for the job. Already proving that. Disney CEO Bob Iger said Marvel Entertainment, whose acquisition in 2009 was a signature deal of Iger's first stint atop the company, was unfairly taxed during the company's frenzy to supply Disney Plus with fresh content. In a lengthy sit down with CNBC's David Faber, Iger addressed Marvel as well as topics like SAG-AFTRA and WGA strike, blah, 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 a looming revamp of the company's linear TV assets, and the ongoing feud with Governor Rob DeSantis. Along with Pixar and Lucasfilm, the CEO said that Marvel had been asked to do too much by Bob Chapek, throwing him under the bus again. It's not like, oh my God, it's not like this wasn't in the works when you left, you shit. Oh my God.
Liar.
Iger's handpicked successor. Well, it shows he's a shit handpicker as well, doesn't it? I mean, my God, if true. Anyway. So what did he say? God, I hate this guy. I hate everyone that just, how can you read this and not have common sense that this is all bollocks? In our zeal to basically grow our content significantly and serve our streaming offerings, we ended up taxing our people in terms of their time and their focus way beyond where they had been. Marvel is a great example of that. They had not been in the TV business at any significant level. Not only did they increase their movie output, but they ended up making a number of television series. That surge diluted focus and attention internally. And for audiences awash in new titles, Iger said, that is more the cause than anything else. It's not a problem from a personnel perspective. So the reason why they're bombing, according to Daddy Iger, as Andre put it, is that the surge diluted focus and attention, and that is more the cause than anything else. So they made too much and people just... I don't really know what he's saying here. They made too much and diluted focus and attention internally, but then he says it's not a personnel issue. That doesn't make any sense. You asked them to do stuff that they couldn't do? Is that what you're saying? What are you saying? Guys, help me out here. I mean, it's nonsense anyway. He's literally saying, crap, you just made garbage. That's what happened.
I mean, he's basically trying to pass the buck like you said. He's trying to claim that they were forced to do too much, too soon, too fast. The same kind of crap he said with Star Wars. But instead of actually taking the blame for that, he's passing the buck here, kind of.
Political speak.
Yeah. Now, apparently, the CNBC Faber asked Iger if he regretted foregoing that long-time revenue source in order to prop up Disney Plus. If we hadn't done it, everybody would be saying, why isn't Disney going to the streaming business? As it turns out, I think we made the right decision there to go into that business. It's not made any money. it's made no money, zero money. It's made
lost money.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, he's got to say that it's his baby.
It'll be a growth business for us. Fucking when?
When's it going to be a growth business?
By the end of the calendar,
we will turn it around. He says, "I'm confident of that." Sorry.
By the end of the calendar year, it will be $14 billion in red ink.
Well, he disagrees. Coach, he disagrees. It will be of value to us long term.
Okay, so 2031?
Yeah,
probably not. Oh my God! What do we think?
You just said it. We just said it in the previous segment. You cannot make money this way. You can't make 50 million, 100 million, 200 million dollar productions and make money in streaming. It cannot be done. You have to use other people's product and pay them a leasing fee. You cannot make money this way. Doesn't work.
Goodness me. Andre, you've been quiet. I don't think he's back yet, is he? God damn it. Well, anyway, Nick, you want to chime in here, bud?
Bob Iger's a joke. Delusional. Again, like I said before, what company is he looking at? Because it's not Disney Plus or Disney as a whole. I mean, everybody can see it. He's like standing, he's standing in the forest, but he can't see the forest around him. It's laughable, absolutely laughable.
I can't I can't believe what he's saying about. He also said that the Marvel brand is not inherently off. This is when he delivered his keynote speech. So he's reiterating those kind of things. He thinks it's absolutely fine.
How have those Marvel projects been doing?
Well, yeah, Ant-Man barely crossed 500 million, was it? I mean, that's a huge loss. Oh my God.
The hilarity of it all is the only Marvel project in the last year to create any real true buzz has been Deadpool 3. And that was a Chapek green light.
And it's
that's the other thing. I cannot believe that he threw him under the bus again. Throwing him under the bus again.
But he's not held to the fire. His feet are not held to the fire, Nate. They should be, right? I mean, you look at this and you say, we should be looking at all of the things that were greenlit, all the policies that were put in place, all the people that were put in place by Iger, and then realize that for an 11-month period of time, Chapek had some form of control, and that was it. He was never given a chance to establish himself, to make the right decisions, to change things. And when he did, and he changed the structure of the company, he gave them a real chance to kind of shake out all these different elements. But what happens? He gets kicked out the door, courtesy of the lady that backstabbed him, who's now also kicked out the door. Sure. And you end up in a situation where now that same structure that was setting failure up is now back in place because of Iger. You're back to the same old structure. This is dumb. And it's, again, why? I don't get it.
I'm calling it right now. Kathleen Kennedy's contract will also be renewed. She's not going anywhere. It'll be.
I bet you're right.
If he's sticking around for another till 2026, and then is still going to have his hand in the cookie jar till 2031, I mean, unless she's just done and she wants to leave, I don't see her going anywhere.
Nick, I agree.
Nick, look, we're learning every day just how revised all these budgets have to be honest, about what they spent on the production. Because when we found out they spent more than $500 million on Force Awakens alone, and that we could get a refined or a readjusted budget for The Last Jedi, for the movie they're still shooting, the Rise of Soybeans or whatever the hell that was. Someday we're going to get that, and you're going to realize she never made any money.
Nope.
Yeah. Well, that's not difficult to see, is it? Let's be honest.
And if he's throwing Chapek under the bus still when he's not even there. I mean, what a perfect scapegoat Kathleen Kennedy would be for him with Lucasfilm.
Ah, yes, you're right. You are right, but yeah, they won't do it. They won't do it at all. Let's get to some super chats before we move on to our next topic. So Black Saber for $2 says Iger basically pulled a Putin. Yeah, I mean it's a dictatorship over there, I guess now, isn't it? Over at Disney. I'll vote myself in. Fat Steven for $2 Canadian says Backrooms is awesome. Liminal space horror. I'll have to check it out.
Never heard of it. Backrooms.
Yeah, I'll have to check it out. So yeah, A24. Yeah, we'll check it out. High Def 10 says I love Blackfields. Are you going to make another film? No, I'm done, dusted, no crew, etc. And I'm also doing a master's degree, or will be anyway, planning to. So I was doing some work on my master's today. Some little heart shit. So love it. Anyway, so no, I won't have the time. I still have the time to do this, the channel, the live show, all that kind of stuff. But no, I won't have time to do any sort of major projects like that. This master's degree will, I mean, I'll be a doctor basically of something. So I won't have the time, unfortunately. Magitech Mag says, I sent a tweet to your Twitter, Tom. All right, Tom. Tom is also disappeared. Oh, Tom's gone anyway. Oh, he's back. Apparently, you've got a tweet.
Okay.
Magitech, apparently.
This is actually from Valiant.
Just for the record.
We're all back.
Everybody's
we got
back.
666 viewers watching.
Oh, somebody leave. Hurry.
What is this, Tom?
The Acolyte cast was out talking about the show. Well,
yeah, he tweeted.
Actually, they were talking about more about the inclusion and diversity in the show. But yeah.
No. Right, do you want to pull that up? Let's have a look.
I can try.
On the sizzle reel, the show that's not actually really happening, supposedly.
Yeah, that's what some people think.
It is happening. 100% it's happening. I don't understand why people
especially think now that there's an actor's strike, it's going to happen.
Yeah, I don't think why people think it's not going to happen.
This thing's in the post. I mean, it's been in the post for a month now or more.
Is there video for this, or is it just? Oh, this
I don't know. They're speaking to EW by the looks of it. Yeah.
It's from an EW story. Shadowy secrets and emerging dark powers. The Acolyte is set to star Amandla Stenberg, Lee Jung-jae, Manny Jacinto, Jodie Turner-Smith, Daphne Keane, Charlie Barnett, and more. Recently, some of the cast spoke with Entertainment Weekly. You see the progress that Star Wars is making across the board in all of the streaming services series, says Stenberg, noting the difficulties minority fans have had and actors have endured. Ugh, here we go. When it comes to the world of fantasy and sci-fi in general, it hasn't felt like a safe space always for people of color.
Oh, God.
And it's been a world that I've always deeply loved.
Say that again.
It has not felt like a safe space always for people of color.
It's not an actual space, dipshit. It's a genre.
Well, he's there, ushering for the inclusion of black nerds. So there you go.
God, who cares?
His dream come true.
Oh, good.
Samuel Jackson was never in a Star Wars movie. Neither was Billy D. Williams.
No.
Never.
Or, John Boyega in the last ones.
No, never. And they've all had the conversation, according to this.
Have they? Oh, that's good. That's fantastic.
And then I believe there was the Jung Leslie Headland. He was talking about how, it's going to make so many kids who are Asian want to be Jedis now because he's...
That's not, because they're going to watch it and go, this is embarrassing.
Leslie Headland's still trying to claim she's a mega fan.
Wasn't there a rumor going around that she was fired or something?
Yeah.
That's
I think the best place to be put in this era is young guys, blah, 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 blah. Nobody cares.
Wow, that sounds like cancer for the eyes. Anyway. And it is. Let's shuffle on quickly to our next topic. Can't imagine this one's going to be massively long. In fairness, it's interesting, but it's what everyone else alluded to in terms of streaming businesses in general. Disney is mulling selling the Indian TV streaming business. This is from the Wall Street Journal. Wow. So Disney is reportedly considering its strategic options in India and could sell its streaming and TV business there. According to the Wall Street Journal, the House of Mouse could sell or find a joint venture partner for its Indian business, which includes the Star TV channels and the Disney Plus Hotstar streaming service. Wall Street Journal quoted an anonymous source with direct knowledge of the plans, who said the talks are being driven by Disney executives out of the US. Talks have begun internally on what makes sense to do, i.e., how can we save this sinking ship? Talks are at a very, very nascent stage, and no companies have been approached about a sale or joint venture. Disney Plus Hotstar is India's most subscribed to streamer, but is under pressure from rivals, in particular Jio Cinema, the service owned by Mukesh Ambani's conglomerate Reliance Industries, Paramount Global, and James Murdoch's Bodhi Tree Systems through a restructured Viacom 18. Significantly, Jio Cinema now has the streaming rights for the Indian Premier League cricket, which is being offered for free. Disney previously had the IPL rights, and that's why they lost like 4 million subscribers or something like that, but pulled out of an expensive auction last year. Jio Cinema also grabbed rights to HBO shows such as Succession, which were also with Hotstar before. Earlier today, Disney CEO said the linear TV businesses may not be core to the wider company. What do we think? I think they're going to get rid.
I mean, I don't see why they would keep it around and end up spending more money on something that they're losing money on. That doesn't really make sense.
I'm with you there. I think it's an easy decision for them to part ways with this, because it wasn't something they really had in the first place. What it's going to do is it's going to hurt their distribution of materials if they get rid of it outright. They will definitely part with some of their stuff. I like I said earlier, I suggested earlier during the different conversation, some of it just doesn't fit into their wheelhouse, and it was more Fox's thing that they were building over there, and they ended up with some weird partnerships too with distribution. So I think they kind of want to shake loose of those. That makes sense, but it also just indicates that Disney's just not in the financial position they need to be to maintain it.
Yeah. I mean, I loads of companies are doing write-downs. Disney did a ton.
Wow.
They need to make more. They need to offload more. This is from an acquisition, the majority of it. Yeah, I can imagine. And also, they have willfully lost out on the rights to shows which they could have bid on, but they chose not to. So it shows that they're trying to minimize moving forwards this particular business out there, because they're allowing other companies to take stuff. Like Succession was on this one. Now it's on a rival. They're allowing other companies to do it. So I reckon they'll just get rid. Personally. Tom?
Yeah. What's the line from Gremlins 2? Sal.
Andre, you want to chime in on this, bud? Oh, Andre's dead now. I thought he was back. He's dead. He's died a death.
Cricket? Nobody understands cricket. You got to know what a crumpet is to understand cricket.
Has Andre actually disappeared again? He said he was back. Bloody hell.
I think he did.
Oh,
and I realize he's muted.
True. Well, no, he'd soon realise when we're like, Andre's dead. I'm sure he'd realise. Anyway, never mind. Let's shuffle on to some super chats. Tom Workin sent $2. Says, I'm of colour but old. Please explain safe space. It's for wet wipes that can't achieve anything in life without everything being handed to them, I guess, is probably a good.
It's a place where your worldview can't be disrupted. It's for people who can't deal with the real world or any form of criticism.
There you go. It's a place where your entitlement gets delivered to you.
It's called your bathroom. Go hide there and shut up.
Well, I mean,
Mo Sislak for $20 says, my theory, Robert Guadalupe Iger took a look at WeWork and thought, yes, that's how you grow a company. He called it the Lizzo protocol. Oh, amazing. Absolutely amazing. Right. Brilliant. Oh, dear, oh, dear. Right. Okay. Last but not least on the Bob Iger situation from this kind of big interview thing that he did today. Bob Iger has now responded to Ron DeSantis's campaign trail attacks, because obviously Ron DeSantis is on the campaign trail. And he's responded directly to the comments about, this is why we get demonetized, guys. So super chats are the way to help. About Ron DeSantis' attacks on Disney sexualizing children, basically. So he says the notion that Disney is anyway sexualizing children is preposterous. So we're not going to watch the video, although it's updated with the video. So he says this:
really, Bob?
Sorry. We are a preeminent entertainer in the world, and we are proud of our track record there. The notion that Disney is in any way sexualizing our children, quite frankly, is preposterous and inaccurate. I mean, is it?
Didn't some people get busted at Disney for that very thing?
Quite a lot, actually.
Using the underground tunnels to transport little ones around in, and
quite a lot
Yeah.
did. In fact, it happens pretty frequently.
Yeah.
Happens pretty bloody frequently, actually, at their parks, apparently. DeSantis has focused his attacks on Disney's opposition to the parental rights bill that has led to a standoff, and obviously the whole sort of federal lawsuit, etc. He's also accused Disney of being a woke corporation. They are. And per the New York Times, said that the company has really embraced the idea of getting the sexualized content in the programming for the young kids. Well, yeah, they have.
They've been doing that since forever ago. I mean, there's tons of classic Disney movies that have sexualized stuff hidden in them that has been, talked about publicly. And
well,
people
I
know
think
about
that's
it
a
for
little
long
bit
time.
different than a couple of bored animators.
Oh yeah.
Compared to
definitely.
this, this is pure propaganda. That was some drunk and
definitely.
stoned animators in the middle of the night going, "Watch what we get in here," and nobody will ever notice until the days of DVD.
Well, Well, Iger came out and said the last thing that I want for the company is for the company to be drawn into any culture wars. What?
There's a cultural war been going on.
A little late on that one.
Now, the CNBC interview favored pressed Iger on an incident that happened in June when there was a Neo demonstration outside of the Walt Disney World. It was horrifying, quite frankly. I'd never heard about this. And it's concerning to me that anyone would engage a level of intolerance or even hate that frankly could even become dangerous action. It could be turned into some dangerous act of some sort. So it is concerning to me. Sure. Whatever.
I don't remember that ever happening.
What the hell is he talking about?
I don't remember
that. The only people
that.
I ever remember protesting were Disney employees.
I have no idea. It also looks like he throws Chapek under the bus again. We are concerned that he has decided to retaliate against the company for a position the company took on pending legislation in that state. And frankly, the company was within its rights, even though I'm not sure it was handled very well. That's fucking Bob Chapek under the bus again. Under the bus
third time today?
It was within its rights to speak out on an issue, a constitutionally protected right for free speech, and to retaliate against the company in a way that could be harmful to the business was not something we could sit back and tolerate. I mean, my God.
Well, he has to say that because he was the orchestra.
Oh my God, Andre, you're back.
You're sorry, I was on the phone just a second when you called me the last time. Sorry about that.
Good. No, it's all good. Give us your thoughts. What do you think?
Well, he has to try to hide behind Chapek as much as he can, because really, all of this is his fault. In reality, you can go to every single one of Disney's problems, every last one of them, and ask him, why did you do this? And this includes everything that has to do with Florida, because really, he's been the key instigator. JPEG had a backdoor channel to solve all of this, and then Iger came in and mucked it all up. But he can't admit that. He has to now try to frame as, oh, JPEG this, JPEG that. Whereas Ron DeSantis has already come out in writing saying that JPEG never wanted this situation. He was forced into it by people behind the scenes, probably Iger. I mean, he's even tacitly confirmed that that there was some kind of like backdoor communication between the two of them, and this situation probably would have been resolved in a very different way if not for Iger's aggression.
Backdoor.
It's very relevant given Disney, but yeah.
True.
Yep.
True. Tom,
I did find a video of this supposed Yahtzee flags. I pretty sus to me. There's like 5 people standing out there, and I'm wondering if they're not plants.
I mean, it's always going to be plants nowadays.
Well,
absolutely unequivocally. Come on.
For one thing, one of these guys look like they're black, so I don't know how much white supremacists they can be. But again,
they're awfully tolerant neo-Yazis.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, but don't you know this? Like, I mean, you have how many?
He's trying to cover shit up,
but the white supremacy is no longer exclusively a white endeavor.
Oh my god!
Yeah, one of the politicians running for office in California, I think the last governor election, who was a black guy that they said was the black face of white supremacy. Everybody was like, "What?"
He tried to take on not DeSantis, but Gavin Newsom. Anyone who does that is a white supremacist.
They say the same kind of crap about Eric July too, just because
they do.
You know, he doesn't go with the narrative, so they got to come up with any way they can to discredit him. And what's hilarious is when they try to do this, especially go look at Eric's attacks. They have no qualms about using N-words and stuff.
Oh yeah, massively racist.
And it's like, y'all are calling everybody else a bunch of racist bigots, yet I would never dream of saying that to somebody I disagree with.
Yeah. Oh, it's disgusting. Like it's absolutely disgusting. The amount of intolerance that comes out of these people is disgraceful. Yeah. Bigotry comments and stuff. It's it's not cool. Any closing thoughts, Culture? You want to chime in on this?
Nope. Okay. Well, I mean, I don't know what to say. I think I said a lot when it comes to this particular issue. I think he is woefully ignorant of the events around him, or willfully so, and it could be both. And I think that's dangerous to give somebody an extension like that who just is unable to take accountability for the circumstances and situation the company finds itself in. That's all I have to say about it.
Yeah. Well, let's shuffle on to some super chats here. We got 2. SAG voted to strike. So that's 100% official. It was pretty much all but confirmed when we started this stream. But yeah, it's all voted. It's done. They are striking. Mr. Tickle Trunks for $5 says, Tom's right. I've known many ex-Disney artists, animators. Yes, those hiding wieners in animations were rebelling against Mauschwitz duck owl bosses. Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah, brilliant. Comedy gold. Right. Let's move on to another topic now, which I think is interesting. It's good no matter what side of the aisle you sit on, because we have left, right, etc. I myself am a centrist. I don't really care. This is a moralistic issue. So it doesn't really matter who's supporting it because it's moralistic. This is common ground we can all sit on and go, yes, this is a good thing that this movie is getting out there. Donald Trump will be screening Sound of Freedom at the Bedminster Club. And like I said, it doesn't matter what side of the aisle you sit on. This is a moralistic thing. This is common ground we can all agree on. Good. It's getting out there. More and more people are seeing it. More publicity is coming to this film. And look, I'm not saying this is an incredible film. It's a great film. It's Oscar bait, etc. I'm not saying that. I haven't seen it. I've contacted them for a screener. Thank you, Tom. But I haven't seen it. Is it Oscar bait? Probably not. But is it highlighting something which is an issue in today's world that shouldn't be an issue? Yes. So should we all, support that and, bring it to light a bit more? Yes. Is it weird that certain people don't want that film to do very well? Yes. So again, whether you support or don't support, Trump, it doesn't really matter. This is a moral quandary more than anything.
Well, if I may, Nate, it's even worse than them not just wanting you not to see the movie.
Yes.
There's an active campaign against this movie. One of the grossest ones I've ever seen, as far as how they are lying to the extreme with this. Like this is one of the worst cases I've ever seen. And I think, Andre, you agreed with me the other day. We kind of talked about that too.
Absolutely. I've never seen worse. I mean,
it's odd.
I have a very, very thick skin, but I will admit that the extreme blowback to this thing right here, if anything's ever gotten to me, it's this, just the extreme darkness that implies.
Yeah, it's quite sinister, isn't it? I think that's the word, sinister. It's quite nefarious, and quite revealing. You know, it's very. I mean, it's a self-report. Let's put it that way. It's absolutely
very much so. And once you see the movie, you will really get it. Like you'll be like, "What in the world are they smoking?"
Yeah.
Not only that, what are they drinking as far as Kool-Aid? Because this is none of these things. In fact, I sent a great interview with Tim to Andre yesterday, where Tim flat out says what we've been saying. This all happened way before the letters were a thing. You know, like, where do they get this stuff from? You know, he was defending himself in the movie in this interview, and it's just like, you know, he's willing to challenge anything they're kind of throwing at him at this point. And I'm glad to see the people that are standing up for this movie, and that people in general are just going to see it. Now, I mean, I've had people that said, you know, I don't think I can handle this. I don't really want to see it, you know, but I you know, went to the, you know, pay it forward program, or even certain people in our YouTube sphere. I'm not going to say their names, but they said for similar reasons. And I said, look, that's totally understandable. And I don't want people to feel like everybody's like making you feel like you're, you know, something you're not because you don't want to see something. But just keep in mind that it's not to the extreme that the media is pushing.
It's not a hard watch at all.
Exactly. I tried to explain. It's more like watching Sicario or something along those lines, as far as like the feel of the movie itself. And not to spoil anything, it doesn't have like any gruesome bits in it. It's not like a manipulative, sad or bad ending to where, you know, I think when people are saying they're having these, you know, feelings walking out of the theater, I think they're responding more because after the movie's done, they have this new bit during the credits where Jim Caviezel comes on and he talks to the audience and he actually gives you some real statistics and stuff. I think that's what people are reacting to.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, just for comparison's sake, I didn't see Wind River being called, you know, a huge right-wing conspiracy theory when they highlighted the fact that Native American, you know, women that were, sexually abused, raped, murdered, whatever, those statistics weren't like filed or something like that. I didn't see, you know, that was a film which highlighted that travesty, because it is an absolute travesty, right? Why aren't those things reported or weren't reported? I can't remember which. Why aren't those things or weren't those things brought to light properly? You know, why? Like, that's bizarre. What a massive oversight. You know, why aren't they investigated in exactly the same way? You know, but I didn't see this same thing being put there. You know, Wind River is again. I'm sure this is comparable to Wind River in that it highlights a very real issue. You know, and it's just again, like you say, Sicario and things like that. So yeah, I don't know.
Wind River might even be darker from my memory too. In that sense,
brutal. That film is like
it is, because this is really tame. Like, it really doesn't. And I say this too because there's a lot of people who are trying to say, oh, it's exploitative and manipulating you to try and give to this organization and go see this movie and blah, 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 blah. It's like, no, if anything, they could have gone farther with this if they were really trying to milk it, but they don't. They shy away from a lot of showing like the horrors of it. In fact, I brought this up maybe before on the last show, so I apologize, but I'd recently read an interview too, or an article where they were talking about where the kids that are in the movie, they didn't tell any of the kids the subject matter. So the scenes that they're in, all they know is what they did in the scenes, and they had no idea what the story was actually about.
Yeah, just perform this. Cool.
No, things are implied when they need to be implied, and that's pretty much it. And the weird thing is, I never heard a lot of backlash from the Nefarious movie not even close to this. And it really hit on religious themes, cultural things that are very, very divisive, in the world today. In that movie, and I don't ever remember hearing it get attacked at all. Not like this one is.
Yeah, well, so just to sort of highlight all this, Trump will be hosting a screening of Sound of Freedom at his Bedminster Golf Club next week, seizing on the unexpected box office performance of the movie, and also highlighting a movie that needs to be highlighted. Jim Caviezel and producer Eduardo Verastegui will attend, while Tim Ballard, the former government agent upon which the story is based, will also be there. The film is based on Ballard's efforts to save children from traffickers in Colombia. The screening will be open to club members and supporters, according to the Trump campaign.
And the media is just going to use this.
Exactly. That is my issue with this. My one issue with this is that now everyone with TDS is going to come out. Those people that were like, if they say if the orange man was to say that breathing is good for you, they'd hold their breath. Now he's turning this movie.
Well, so here's the interesting thing. That actually backfires on them massively because Trump is using this for political gain, obviously. Trump campaign noted that the former president's steps to end human trafficking and Ballard's support of a border wall. So they're basically saying, yeah, we're going to end human trafficking. We're going to really work on it, right? Ballard was part of an advisory panel on human trafficking, etc. And then you have mainstream media going, the screening's linkage of movie to political record is hardly novel, as members of Congress routinely host screenings on Capitol Hill to mobilize attention around issues. The White House recently fucking White House. Ava Longoria and cast members from Flamin' Hot for an outdoor screening where Biden emphasized his record on DACA and pressed Congress to pass immigration reform. So you'll have two sides of that argument. You'll have a bunch of people, with TDS going mental, but then you'll also have Trump going, well, vote for me and we'll end this. There you go, done. How can you argue with that? This is still going on. Like, let's end it.
And that'll be big because in the statistics that they talk about at the end of the film, they talk about how the U.S. is one of the biggest contributors of taking in, this child sex trafficking stuff. There's like a lot of people that pay money for that stuff here in the U.S. And, they should definitely do some stuff to whatever they can to put an end to it for sure.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of something the movie itself doesn't touch on so much, but yeah, Caviezel brings up at the end is that, the American government has to be involved for this to work in so many words.
Well, you have to. Yeah, of course you do. I mean, I don't know. Again,
not only that, the staggering statistic that there are more people in slavery now than there were when it was legal.
Well, yeah, that's the thing that always makes me laugh when you have all these people going, Black Lives Matter, reparations, etc. It's like, what about everyone now? Huh? Come on, what are you doing? Like, what about the issues that are still going on now?
Well, because it's not just kids
now. Yeah,
exactly. The movie doesn't touch so much on that part of me. I mean, it does mention it, I believe, but it is wider than that. And in fact, there's only a few things that I noticed that were kind of changed in the movie that were different from real life. Like the initial raid that they portray in the movie, they did save 54 people, but some of them were technically over the age of 18. So there was some that were, but they were still in the trafficking, right? Like that was the whole thing. But at the same time, they changed the amount in the movie, which makes me kind of just go like, wow, because it makes me feel like they must have changed it just because otherwise people wouldn't have believed it. Because in the movie, the deal's done for $100,000. In reality, it was only 25 grand. Jeez. It's like, holy crap, man. Like that just shows you how this industry works. It's people aren't worth diddly, but yet
sad. Yeah. Really, really sad. Well, let's move on to something equally as sad. Grim animated video of the submarine's last moments.
Yikes.
Talk about a horror film. Holy shit.
Massively. So we actually touched on this when it all happened, when it was kind of confirmed. So again, this is the live podcast. We do many, many different things here. So it's not just movies, etc. But yeah, we touched on this when it happened. I mean, this is just I mean, it's awful. It's awful. So Andre, you had a bit more. I don't know if it says it in this in this article, but what was the update that you had on what actually happened?
Well, what I heard, apparently there has been a leak. Now I do not know the validity of this leak, but what apparently leaked was the communications log between this submersible
leaked
and the ground station, basically. And what it shows, because like as you can see from this video right here, is like when the implosion happens, it happens instantly, and there's no real pain or anything like that. So the question is, how far in advance did they know that this thing was going to implode? Were they enjoying everything and the thing was just fantastic, and then boom, they're all dead without knowing whatever hit them? Because then at least there's no pain, there's no fear or anything like that. Or was there a period of time when they were cramped into this tiny little space knowing they were going to die? And if this released log, not released, but this leaked alleged log is real.
Is the pun intended?
Are you intentionally making a pun there, buddy?
Not intentionally. But
I'm sorry, I don't mean to laugh.
But if that leak thing is legit, then there was 20 minutes, more than 20 minutes, in which they knew they were going to die between 1 second from now and the next half hour.
Well, you said it was even kind of worse than that, Andre, because you said it wasn't so much like they knew they had 20 minutes. Like you said, no, it was kind of like they knew any time between now and the next 30 minutes.
Anytime,
you don't know what can happen any time here. So you got all
between now and the next second.
God, that's got to be horrifying, and I feel bad for them guys. But
because apparently there were these alarms even in the hull that would start blaring when it could detect that the stress here is actually becoming so bad it's detectable, and those were apparently the alarms that went off. And you could tell that because that's when the really desperate messages starting to get up about, we're getting these kinds of results here and these kind of warnings. And then
look at them.
See now, Andre, if that's true, that tells me that it's even kind of worse than that. That means that the only one who was probably really aware of it was the one captain dude or whatever you call him.
But he must have panicked and told everyone else.
I wonder if he did or not. Yeah, I was going to say, because that's what I was asking.
Because every single time Control asked for an update, it was longer and longer before they got that update, and it seemed more and more desperate with more and more spelling mistakes, shorter and less formal, until suddenly they stopped replying, and that's when the implosion happened. Presumably, based on that, it would appear to have been some level of panic going on in that submersible. Because basically, this kind of alarm, it's like, you're going to die now. There's nothing you can do because this thing is going to implode inside of minutes. Because if it wasn't, this alarm isn't going to go off.
God damn.
Wow.
I mean, that's just brutal, isn't it?
That's grim, yeah.
Yeah, that who was it? Didn't they have somebody on the board that was sending emails talking about safety concerns for a while?
Oh, you had a bunch of people.
Yeah, and Cameron came out and blew it out of the water. He was like, "Yeah, this was a big mistake."
Well, they also hired an ex military guy, an engineer, and he was like, "No, I'm not signing this off. This is."
Yeah, Cameron was kind of talking smack about him too in so many words. He was like, because he was even saying how unprofessional they were in certain aspects and certain ways. Because he had said he'd done how many dives, Andre?
Oh, hundreds.
I was gonna say hundreds, if not several dozen. To where he was like,
as previously reported, the use of carbon fiber was not supported by David Lockridge, the former director of marine operations at OceanGate until 2018. In an email sent shortly before being fired by late OceanGate CEO Stockton Rush, Lockridge wrote that he had numerous worries with the Titan sub after inspecting Lockridge had been relentless in voicing his concerns about the carbon fiber pressure chamber, reinforcing the fact that the material was not something previously used in any other deep ocean sub, and as a result, it hadn't been heavily tested. Yeah, I mean,
yeah, that's a bit of a problem there, because I remember Paul was talking about on our show about how massively stupid it was to use the fiber.
Carbon fiber is strong,
but it doesn't flex the way that you need it to underwater, though. He was explaining under those kind of pressures, it basically splinters from what he said. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's just fiber. So all it is hard fiber with a resin coat. That's carbon
also
fiber.
apparently carbon fiber. That's great for fuselages and stuff like that, where you want to keep pressure in and there's lower pressure on the outside. But it's not ideal for the reverse situation where the pressure is on the outside and you want to retain a lower pressure inside, which is what you want in anything that goes underwater, as opposed to anything that goes up in the air.
Yeah, dear oh dear. Well, there you go. A nice cheery topic to
end on. Well done.
To sort of round out. Lovely.
Way to send us off smiling. Yeah.
Well, like I think Andre's leak pun was cracking me right up, and culture. So did like that. Ladies and gents.
I got a laugh.
Yeah, well, yeah, true. Right, well, ladies and gents, that does draw our stream podcast to a close. I just got to say, we had a great showing of viewership today. Please make sure you hit subscribe on the second channel, Mistakes Reviews Live Archives. If you don't, you'll never be able to access these streams again. They're all uploaded there into a playlist, as well as countless videos. If you missed any bits of this stream, they get highlighted as clips and individual videos at great work and time to myself. So they take a long time, but obviously you guys enjoy it as well, so it's all good. But please do hit subscribe. Link is in the description box. Everyone else's channel is linked down below as well. You obviously enjoyed their input. Lots of you are watching, so hit subscribe on their channels. Everyone's channel is linked there. Hit subscribe and tell them I sent you, because then it encourages them to keep coming back to the show. But ladies and gents, what have you got coming up? Culture Casino, the floor is yours. Plug some shit.
Well, it seems like my Barbie video about the film being doomed hit some nerves today. So if you want to see what I think about the upcoming Barbie film and its maybe perhaps underperforming performance, perhaps it will bomb, check that out. There is a lot of things that have come out about Barbie. Specifically, one of the Dr. Barbies is actually a trans actor Barbie doll, and many other things that I didn't actually reference in the video. I just talked about the fact that the marketing around it was very different than the portrayal by the actors in their promotion of the film. And I think that's going to, like many other times that happens, is going to impact the film. And I think that's worth checking out. And on that note, thanks for supporting me. I mean, we're well over 8,600 on my channel now, headed to 10K. So I want to say thanks to all of you, because I know many of you support me there as well. So thank you.
Excellent. Nick, plug some shit, boy. Let's go.
Chill stream tonight over on the main channel, Echo Base Network. So yeah, we'll be covering Ahsoka stuff over there. Forces Female trailer that for that show that just dropped this week, and probably a couple other things. But yeah, that's what we got going on tonight. And then of course the Saturday night, our weekly Saturday night live stream.
Nice. Tom, plug yourself. What you got going on?
Yeah, I should be live here in a couple hours, or a few hours more like it, on Midnight's Edge After Dark. Sometimes I hop into the Thursday night stream with Comics Division.
Nice.
So yeah, that's pretty much the plan thus far.
Excellent. And last but not least, Andre, my dude. You said about editorial. What's going on?
Yeah, of course, doing an editorial on Iger's renewal. So that will be coming sometime inside of the next 12 hours, I should imagine. And then I'll go straight into the follow-up on The Sound of Freedom, which is continue to do bangbusters and continue to create backlash. So, of course, we'll be talking about that. And then, of course, we'll be back again with the Midnight's Edge in the morning at the regular time tomorrow, meaning 9 a.m. LA time. That corresponds to 5 p.m. UK time, 6 p.m. Central European time. And for all other times, then just measure from those, I guess.
Figure it out, basically. Figure it out. I'm not your dad. All right, guys. And what I've got going on, well, I was going to watch Mission Impossible today. Haven't had a chance. Been pretty busy. I've been doing some anatomy and physiology crap. You don't need to see that. Anyway, so I will watch it tomorrow. It'll still be opening weekend. I will watch it opening weekend. So we'll be watching it probably tomorrow or Saturday. Probably not Saturday. Probably tomorrow. And all the usual shenanigans over on the main channel, as well as the second channel. I'll be working my butt off to get all these clips ready to go for you guys to enjoy who missed any of this stream. But anyway, thanks so much from me and everyone else. We'll catch you in on Tuesday's live show. Thank you so much for joining me. We'll see you on Tuesday. Bye-bye now.
Bye, guys.
Take care.